Morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. TGIF, thank God it's Friday. But I say that, but it hasn't actually been that bad a week. It's been quite a good week, to be honest with you. We've made £27 in profits, which doesn't sound like a great deal, but we are testing. Don't forget. As you can see, we're currently minus 31, so we are negative on the week by about £4. All right, so not too bad. Now the thing is, currently the situation is that we're making three changes for Monday. We're going to have a tighter stop. Currently, we have got 100 pips stop loss, which is crazy, admittedly. We're going to reduce that to 50. We're going to increase the trailing stop value. So we've doubled that essentially. And we've doubled that, the trailing profit. And so that's second. And the third one is the regularity of our signals. We've been getting them every hour. Well, we should be getting them every hour. But they're going to come every 4 hours, and the way that I'm going to do it is that I'm going to time it so we avoid the forex close where we have a huge spread widening. For example, the dollar Swiss could have 20 pip, 30 pip widening. Maybe not the dollar Swiss, but maybe something a bit more exotic, like the pound Swiss. That could really deviate on its spread widening, and that could get us stopped out. So by moving the 100 pips to 50 pips, we should be fine. But if we're seeing ourselves getting stopped out at the forex close, we're going to have to widen the stops, right? But the idea is the change in the regularity of the signals is that we should avoid the spread widening, and that's important to note. So I'll have it trigger at 10 o'clock. Well, not 10 o'clock, but at 9 o'clock, and then 4 hours from there, it will then be, what's that, 1 o'clock in the morning, and the next one will be at 5 o'clock in the morning, then at 9, and it'll go in 4 hour increments. Okay, so I think it's a good thing to do, and because we have a less regularity, we can think about increasing it to 0.02 potentially. But we ideally is that we're going to get out a profit, on here before we increase the value on the sizes. We need to ensure we're making profit. So currently, minus £4 on the week, so it's not too bad, but it could have been a lot worse. All right, so and our trading stop did get us out. Probably it was a bit too conservative. Oh, okay, so 23. Okay, it's fine. So these 30 pences, it is a little bit too. We're taking profit way too quickly potentially there, and that's what we're doing. The trading stop, we've increased that. So then, therefore, we've doubled it. So that 30p would then be 60p. Okay, so all these should be doubled, and our profit would be doubled as well. So that would make sense. We should be about £46 profit, and then because obviously we were a little bit too conservative on the trading stop, and we took profit too early. But by doubling the trading stop, that should be a lot more, and then that would overcome the deficit that we see here, and would be up on the week. So it's possibly the trading stop value was just a bit too tight, and we've allowed a little bit more room to breathe higher. Okay, so just three changes. So the stop loss, the trading stop, and the regularity of the signals. So, and we've designed it so we're going to avoid the spread widening, which is something that I'd hate, because we'd be having a good trade running, and then the spread widening would then stop us out, and it would be quite frustrating, to be honest with you, because it had great potential. The widening of the spread would just stop us out, and it would just be really frustrating. So we're doing the timing to avoid that scenario. Okay, let's have a look at where we are. Now gold, we're making a buy, so we've got to be careful. We have got some horizontal support, 1975 area, which you could think about potentially going long. Perhaps a stop at 1971-ish, and they have sold it against the MA fairly strongly, and so this would be a buy. But you can see how we made a sell, and which we can then draw a block, and you'll see what I mean. So we just try follow that up, which is here, this one here, and so we know that's going to be a resistance going forward. Okay, went long, so that created a resistance. Technical break, and they went long, but really punished. Okay, so that's gold. So could potentially look for longs, but you've got to be careful because the yields, US yields, haven't calmed down at all this week, and the yield curve is completely out of bonk now. So S&P, which is fine, no channel, flag, diagonal. You could probably argue we made like a wedge, triangle pattern. Admittedly, that's not the greatest line there. I will tidy these up. I keep saying I will, but I'll do it after this video. But we need to delete these boxes, for example. See, so it's quite naughty. See, they went long, got punished. They went up to their break even. No, you're not allowed to profit. See you later. And then they capitulated and gave up. They sold. Up we come. And it went sideways a lot this week. And finally we broke out. So made a buy here, which we then can map a block. Our punishment zone is what we call them here. I think this one here, isn't it? And then therefore that's going to be a support going forward, okay? It's 30, you know, technical wedge, bomb, and we could make a buy on that one as well. And DAX, we'll finish up with DAX. So it's this candle here, it's this red candle, the scary one, and that's going to be a support, decent support there from where they sold it. Up we come, and it comes into play again. This is sentimental demand. It's not necessarily a technical demand. It's based on sentiment for the fact that they sold it. So some entity had to take the other side of that trade, and therefore it's a strong support to counter the bias of the herd. And up we come. And so that's what happens. They sell it. So someone has to take the other side of that trade, and the big fish will take that trade, and then they'll pump it because of the sentiment. And DAX, now DAX is really crazy now, and all right, 11%, and we're going to be historically at the extremes if we carry on like this. So Andy was right in Discord. We're probably due a little breather, and if it does continue much more higher, then it will just be a stop hunt. Then we can probably, it might puke, because then there will be no driver to push price. Okay, remember that has to be something to counter the trade. There isn't anyone taking trades on one particular side. There won't be anyone taking that opposite side of the trade. So they kind of need it to go sideways to take a breather to encourage more bears in, so they can punish those bears. But if the bears are going to just exit in fear and desperation, then there's going to be no one left to hunt, really. So it's quite cruel. Well, it's very cruel, in fact. So I think DAX could probably do with a little breather because we're so extreme, but we just have to be careful. So just to wrap up on the signals is that we changing the stop loss distance from 100 pips to 50 pips. We're changing the regularity of the signals, and we've increased our trailing stop. So we can see, had we have increased the trailing stop value, we would have definitely enhanced that profit, perhaps even double, because we're going to double the trailing stop. The point where we're going to lock it in is twice now. So that should be a lot more by Friday. The following week, pending that, we're getting some solid results, I'll probably go live, but we'll have to wait and see. And ideally, what we want to see is Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar to rally, but it might not because the sentiment is crazy, and it's absolutely bonkers. I've never seen anything like it in my life, where we've seen such a huge shift in 1 week. All right, so got to be careful. By long in AN, we'll be with the herd, so we've got to be careful. And Kiwi is actually quite a strong buy. Got lots of greens. Okay, and it's got a good score too. Right, so I'll stop waffling now, and I'll speak to you guys on Sunday for the clock data, and let's see how we go next week with the new setup and the new settings on the robot.